Cookies here, playing EA Vanheim, turn 90. Very late game as a sub. And we've got Lichcraft here, so I got my first Lich. I get my first Spectre. The point of this Spectre, is to just, he'll be thugged out, so if I want him to thug, he can thug, but the point of him is to travel along with the vans stealthily and block Mind Hunt spam on them if I go to raid. And get my Pretender back. Now, I lose a level of blood, which sucks, especially if I go to do something like Astral Corruption later. But I do get a level of Death Magic, which is very clutch. So I'm going to immediately twice-born my Pretender. So hopefully in the future, if something like this were to happen, I will instead have a tougher white mage instead of this puny human. Casting Seeking Arrow. I need the 2 strength boosters to make this guy enough of a giant to shoot the bow. I'm probably doing it 240. Yep, right at... This is Atlantis' capital. Yomi had told me at one point. I'm starting to scan all the thrones to just figure out what they are, like, just so I can casually figure out what they are rather than like digging through stuff. So that's something I'll be working on. Just doing a little scry, and then it's just like on the map, and I can just see what it is, which is nice. Let's see, trying not to spend some of the gem types. I'm gonna end up spending water like crazy because I'm about to try and go underwater. Forging a bunch of items. Getting a Naiad who I think dies, unfortunately, but not yet. Enchanted Mirror. Some more items for hiding my units, because I'd like to be able to assemble this army without Atlantis knowing. Getting a Dome of Flaming Death up over this site. Forging more Shade Mails. Shade Mails are for Astral Mages to follow Raiders, because I'd like to disable as many of the Mind Hunt casters as I can. It's not going to be perfect protection, but hopefully it'll be good enough. And I'm also getting a bunch of Shadow Imps, or I'm going to start getting them. And yeah, you can see them already starting to filter out. So I'm spending a lot of Blood Slaves on Shadow Imps just so I can get a really good idea of what's going on with Atlantis, so that when I go to raid him, I have a lot of information. Getting Akashic Record again, so we can check score graphs next turn. And almost at Evocation 8. And then I'll go for Alt 9, Evo 9. And then I've got these two backwards. I'll figure that out a little bit too late. So yeah. Continuing to recover from the Death Wish. And also building out some raiding parties, building out some protection. Putting together, starting to move some mages to 207. So the goal of getting some... So I've got a lot of these guys that the previous player had made. These guys have a lot of resistances. So they're remote attack immune. They've got decent MR. So the goal is to bring a bunch of these guys, because these guys have terrible MR. They might all get stolen by the Kraken. So I want to have some troops that don't need to eat and that I can rely on. So I'm going to start putting together an army here. Or, no, here. And then the idea is I can mask it with raiding So I'll raid the Atlantean provinces, and I'll move the army here and then onto this throne and try to take the throne. And it's this throne is close enough to where I can magic phase from a lot of places. I've got part of my assassin kit ready to go. Some concerns of mine. I haven't figured it out yet, but I will soon figure out that Murdering Winter only works on land, not underwater. Which means I can't Murdering Winter his troops, but once I get into the water, he won't be able to Murdering Winter mine, or Flames from the Sky mine. So they'll be a lot safer from that kind of remote attack. They can still be gem baited, but generally speaking, just a lot safer. I am going to forge a bunch of, maybe wastefully, a bunch of winter gear, like cold resist gear. It's not a complete waste though, because Frozen Heart spam would probably be able to kill a lot of my mages, so I want to avoid that. And then I'm also going to get a lot of water breathing gear, because with his giant pearl income, I'm concerned that he's just going to dispel my 400 cast. So, because remember I stupidly told him near when I first did this, like, what it was so he could dispel it if he wanted and spend a bunch of pearls. Basically providing him a giant pearl sink. So, and yeah, so I'm really actively starting to move stuff around. So, getting raiding parties out of especially expendable troops and thugs. And trying to get some research in. So, yeah. I will see you in turn 91.